This conference will now be recorded.
There you
I just don't know where it's
go.
going to go whenever it gets done recording.
Somewhere in the cloud.
Yeah, in the cloud. It'll rain down on us. All right, so what's new? What's happening? We got the Chris is here from Thunder, and we got some new faces. If you want to introduce yourselves, feel free to do it. If you don't want to, just that's all right too.
And if you got
Uh,
questions, feel free.
okay. I've been on one other time, I think. I know I was one other time, so I have been on one time, and I do have I'm sure an easy question for you.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Welcome.
Yes, I can give you my question.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Go
Absolutely.
for it.
Okay, I'm new at this, and I'm just cutting fabric, just so you know. And I was able to do letters on what's the name of the software? Lightburn, on Lightburn, and I cut it out for a lady, but now she's saying, "Do you have other fonts? Is there a way that we
Sure.
can move our font, get fonts? I have them on my embroidery software, but I have no idea how I can bring it into Lightburn."
So any
You
font that
can.
you have installed on your computer will show up in Lightburn as long as it's a TTF or OTF font.
Oh, what kind of font?
TTF or OTF, those are like the main ones used. So when you say embroidery software, is that built into like your embroidery machine or is it part of your computer?
I I have a software just for my embroidery.
And
It's
Chris, those
Yeah.
machines typically
Have
have
their own.
everything on lockdown. Yeah, and they're on
Yeah,
lockdown.
yeah. So do you know the names of those fonts?
Oh, there's a lot of Sanskrit. There's oh, I could have looked it up. Uh,
Mhm.
there's calligraphy type, script on it. There's block fonts. Um, some of them say
So
TT. I don't know what that means.
true
True
Um,
type.
true type.
True type. Okay. So, but I
Uh,
don't. I looked on on our software, and it just had that one font that was in there. It looked like a block font.
Yeah, so are you able to download these
uh,
fonts from online? Because if you can download them, install them into your computer, either Windows or Mac, Lightburn will then see them, but it's looking for those on your computer, not your embroidery software.
Okay. Okay.
and
I'll
then
take a look.
also, if Chris, as you type, there is going to be in the middle, up on top, a drop down list of where you can grab it. So if you're only seeing the one Arial font, you're not pulling down that drop down on Lightburn. And then it should be grabbing all of your system fonts. If not, you can always go to many different online sources and download the OTF or the TTF font from them, and it should load right onto your computer. The only caveat is that you have to turn Lightburn off and then turn Lightburn back on, and then it'll
Okay.
register your system fonts.
Okay.
I,
Okay.
I think they
Like,
updated it to where you don't even have to do that. You can just click the font menu and it shows up.
and it shows up now.
hmm
That'd be nice. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Yep, you do have control.
So if I just type
So
in,
Chris, yeah, so Chris will show you right now.
so this is just a font, I go up here to the font drop down and I can just make all sorts of different fonts.
The drop down doesn't show on our
That's,
screen, Chris.
No.
yeah, I see that. That's what OBS does too when I try to use it. But there's a drop down up here where my mouse is
Oops.
that you can
Oh,
pick your font.
let me see. Could you go to there
Can
slowly, because I can't
can
see
you
it?
Chris? Chris, can you highlight the font or no?
I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
right
there you
there.
go.
Oh,
Yep,
right over there.
exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's actually a drop down menu Trish, if you hit that bottom arrow, that down arrow to the right where it's blue,
Uh-huh.
it'll actually drop down a menu of the entire list that's on your system. So hopefully
Oh,
some
so
of your yeah, it's there already. It should be.
so there are other fonts there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's what I needed to know. Okay.
And you can add at will.
And you can add at will. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
That helps me tremendously.
Websites like Dafont,
Yeah.
DAFONT.com. That's a good one to download from, and like I don't know, free fonts. There's a bunch.
Okay. I think we use DaFont also for embroidery. So
I'm sure.
I'm somewhat familiar with it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much. That's very helpful. And
You're
and I
welcome.
will stay on and listen because lots of times I have customers coming in and I have to. That's what happened. I was going to come 2 weeks ago, and I had customers and I wasn't able to get on the computer. So I'll stay as long as I can today.
No worries. All right. So what about we got Cameron and Mike?
Yep. So we have so this is Cameron. We have our own company called C2E Manufacturing Solutions. So we are actually making boxes, if you can imagine that. But they're a little thicker. They're more industrial application things. So thought I would jump on and listen in to see, see what people were talking about and try to grasp a little more understanding.
Yeah, I made a custom box last week out of some corrugate that I had laying around. Worked out pretty good.
Yeah, these are big, heavy industrial boxes. They hold injection mold inserts that are made out of all kinds of different steels. So they have to have dividers to help protect them.
Nice. I didn't want. I needed to ship a one-off part, and I bought some new shelves, so I had a bunch of corrugate laying around, and I didn't
Mhm.
want to buy 25 boxes from Uline because I only needed one. So I just drew it up and cut it
Drew up
out.
Uline.
Today.
Uh-oh. Uline's been good. As long as you a bunch of stuff, they're good.
$70 to ship.
Yep. But where I'm at, I get it in one day.
So did we.
Yeah. So
Cameron, do
sometimes
you
it's
already
better
have
than.
a Thunder laser?
No, we're actually working with. We have a. This is going to sound terrible. We have a Boss laser, but we are working with Rhonda to try to buy a Thunder.
She's
Nice.
good people.
The
Yeah,
the
she's
the
been.
transition from Boss to Thunder will make you kick yourself for ever buying a Boss. But I guess I should have said it on the recorded part. But anyway, it is what it is.
So, Tommy and Lois, did you guys have a Boss at one point in time?
So we had a 1420 for
Yeah.
what, a couple years, I think is what it was. And then found Thunder, bought the 51-130, sold the Boss, bought what would we call it? Refurbished 3580. I won't own anything else.
Yeah, I've actually seen your videos, so it's kind of fun to see you to see you on the chat. So
Got a celebrity. So whereabouts you located, Cameron?
we're in Canton, Georgia.
Okay. And what size machine you looking at?
We had a Nova 35 quoted, Nova 35 100, and a Nova 51 130 watt quoted.
Okay. Canton, Georgia. How far away is that from Knoxville, Tennessee?
About 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Where
Nice.
this is going.
Let's talk refurbs. Talk to Ron about refurbs. If you got some time to wait, we'll have some refurbs coming up. So
Oh, really?
good deal on them. Yes, sir.
Well, that'd be interesting.
Yep. I got a Nova 63, a Nova 51 on the way, and another Nova 51. So a little
For
bit
those
bigger than the
130.
35.
And
Yeah,
Uh,
those
Brandon, I
130s.
can talk to you about refurbs as well. We've got one.
Yeah, I know.
the six,
I heard your story about that.
the 63 is a 130.
Okay. And the 51s or 100s.
One is a 100 for sure. I think the other one's a 130. Uh,
Okay.
a little interesting about the 130, it's one that is on its back because it fell off the lift gate and it has not been uprighted. So that one's a long lead time. It's the lowest on the list to fix. But yeah, I got a 63 130 that's got your name on it for sure.
That's it. The 63 130 might be a little healthy for me where I got to put this thing.
I know, I know. But yeah, just talk to Rhonda and let her know if you're interested or not. It's one of the best deals around, and I'm 2 hours from you. It sounds like so very close.
So you guys refurb in Tennessee?
Yes, yeah, I'm based out of the Knoxville area in Tennessee. That's where all the refurbs go through.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that. Okay.
So,
Well, the story I heard Tommy tell about his getting his refurb, I thought he had to ship it all the way from Texas to to Kentucky. So
No,
well,
we drove.
they did a drive.
Yeah, it was a long day. 4 hours down, got the machine
yeah,
loaded up on the trailer, and 4.5 hours home because of GPS.
wow, wow, wow. So you guys are where at in Kentucky?
We are an hour south of Louisville.
Fort Knox.
Oh, Fort Knox. Okay, I go to Bardstown all the time. So
Well, then we
If you're
are.
ever in the area, just give us a shout and we can get together.
oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, that sounds great. I'll check with Rhonda on the refurbishment thing, Chris. Thanks for
Awesome.
bringing that up. We
Yep,
appreciate it.
yep. If you have any questions, just hit me up.
Okay.
So, Mike, I think seen you on here before. Yeah, can't hear you. I don't know if Danny, you trying to talk to us or he's talking something else. All right. So what's going on? Anybody got anything to contribute, ask, tell, show and tell? Any good
More
news?
questions? There's Mike. Nothing, huh?
Man,
Tommy, you got anything good going on?
Other than I don't want to call it an install, but setting up that 35-100 the other day, um, didn't go too awful bad, minus that one little part. But we've had that conversation.
Yeah.
I did learn a valuable lesson about the air, and tried to teach the client. When you
What'd you learn?
install air systems and your air compressor is outside, I mean, you can look at mine, but you have to have some sort of dryer system. She had air throughout her entire line, and then it was a conversation of, you're going to destroy lenses if you don't fix this.
she had ton of moisture.
I got soaked when I pulled. Yes,
Does she have a drip leg or anything?
I installed drip legs. I installed water separators all the way through the system, but it's just here in this horrible ass state that if you put it outside, it's going to create a lot of moisture in the lines. I mean, I think I got maybe a half a cup out of the drip leg. So she's supposed to be getting desiccant dryers, and I'll install one right after the right before the Thunder, and then another one after the Thunder between her two bosses.
Holy cow! So she hasn't had any issues with the bosses though.
She finally moved the air compressor outside.
Ah, okay. So it's a recent change.
It's always been inside. She
And a
just got
half a
tired
cup. That quick.
easy, a half a cup in the drip leg.
So was it cold outside and warm on where the lasers are?
It has been. The mornings have been really
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah.
But like it's 70 some degrees here today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little weird. Windy and 75 or
And
so.
tomorrow it's going to get cold.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, colder.
Yeah.
I'm almost
that's
ready to
the
start
one
taking the
thing
boat out again.
Same.
That's the one thing I can
Over here, Chris.
warn people is if you're going to put it outside because you don't want to hear the noise, you've got to do something about the moisture.
Yep. Yeah, we've seen before is the hot space, cold space, issues where if you go into an air conditioned 70-degree room from outside space, that hot air meeting the cold. Not good. Not good at all.
Welcome, Alan.
I don't know if you heard it. Hey, Alan.
Alan.
And Jason's popped in a few times. He must be on his cell phone.
Yeah. There he is again.
There he is.
He's always driving somewhere.
Cameron, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now, Danny.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can hear you guys.
Cameron, it'd be worth your while to ride up to see Chris and see the machine and meet him. That's what I did. I rode 2.5 hours to see 51-130. That's what I wanted, and I saw it in operation, met a good friend, and so anyway, it's better to see. It'll do you a lot of good to see it in person. It really will. That's just my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, no,
Especially
that's great. That's not that far of a drive.
And one of the things that I'd recommend is open up every compartment on your boss laser before you go, and just take a visual inventory of how it's laid out and how it's wired and the thickness of the metals and the construction, and then go look at ours. And yeah,
Okay.
you'll be floored at the quality control and the organization and just the thickness of the metals and the materials that are used. It's an industrial machine.
Yeah, that's one of the concerns we have is, and we actually, so we're doing quite a bit of research, obviously, because we bought this. Don't know whether it's going to be able to handle the rigors of what we're trying to do with it, because we're not,
Right.
we're not doing small things. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. So Danny, where are you located?
Where is Danny?
I'm located in North Carolina, up around
Okay.
Winston-Salem, Greensboro area.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I went to
So-
Roanoke
so Chris,
Rapids.
you
It was there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I went to Roanoke Rapids, and Michael there helped me with mine. In fact, he's come up and helped me a time or two just since then as a friend.
That's nice. I've heard there's 1 or 2 people that have Thunders in our area, but we were not able to track those folks down. So
Where are you?
we're in Canton, Georgia.
Okay, yeah. That's right.
But if
I mean, if you
Chris
wanna
is
come
only
down
a
to
couple
Florida.
hour drive away, that's perfect.
Yeah.
If you want to come to Jacksonville, I got plenty to look at.
That's true. He's
So
not
who
too
was that?
far as well. That's Jason with Roto Boss.
I don't know what that in relation, but we got a 63, a Nova 24, Odin 32, and Aurora. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, just
So Chris,
again, if you want to hop up and see me, just
go
let
ahead.
Rhonda know and we'll schedule it.
Yeah, no, we can make that work.
Perfect. And if you got samples, even better.
Okay.
We could do some test runs on it. Now I've only got an 80-watt tube, but we can give it all she's got.
Yeah, but at least you can pretty much see the machine. I don't know.
That's right.
80 watts probably not going to cut half-inch, three-quarter-inch stuff. I don't imagine.
It might. I mean, the stuff that I was doing was 0.22. I mean, it cut like butter, but then again, as you get deeper, it's harder to
Yeah,
cut
of
that
course.
next fractional inch. But with that, the
Okay.
4-inch head is what I would throw at it first.
my 60-watt 24 will do it with a 4-inch head. It'll do 3/4 inch older.
Oh yeah. Is that
Yeah.
multiple passes or single pass?
Mostly it's single pass. Sometimes, like if you run into some like knotty parts or something, you might have to go back over it real quick just to finish it off. But if it's a nice clean piece of wood, and even plywood, I've done 3/4 inch birch. Maple it takes 2 passes to get through maple. But on the birch, it usually goes through. But I run it at I think 100%, 95, and
Interesting.
probably at 4 or 5 millimeters a second.
God, is it an hour?
And you're saying that's on a 60 watt,
Yeah, that's on the Nova 24.
but you have the
Pretty
I
good.
mean,
4-inch lens.
obviously, if you're going to be doing a lot of cutting and that's the primary goal, then you want more power. Period. Because if you're running a 60 watt at a 95 to 100% power, even though it's not going to be fully 100%, you're going to burn through that tube probably pretty quick.
So I guess I do have a question about that, and sorry to ask so many questions and being the newbie in the room, but
You're good.
I guess the question I have about tube life, I mean, if you have 100, so I know 100 watt because we have 100 watt now. Now I don't know how comparable Boss's tubes are to your guys' tubes, but at the end of the day, um, I get concerned about running that tube over 80%. And what the life is I mean, what's your guys' experience on tube life and cutting things like that?
To replace a tube is fairly cheap. I mean, you just run it like you stole it, pretty much. I mean, you bought the machine to do a job for you. No sense in not utilizing it to its full potential, in my opinion.
Right.
Well, Thunder versus Boss. Thunder's tubes are actually what Chris's. They're
10%.
overpowered.
Yeah, so
They're actually bigger tubes.
we get 10%. We guarantee 10% more power than what it's rated for. So you look at your tube. Anybody go look at the label, and it may say Nova 35 80-watt tube, but when the power test is done, it's producing at least 10% over its rated power. And then we also set it up so that you're not going to overdrive the tube from a current standpoint, which really is what shortens the life. But think of it almost like a gas tank. If you're cruising down the interstate at 100 miles an hour, you're not getting very good miles per gallon, but you're making time, right? You're getting to grandma's house in 5 hours instead of 7.
Right.
Whereas if you were cruising the back roads at 45 miles an hour, you're getting fuel efficiency, your Prius level, MPGs, but it's taking you 8 hours to get there. So,
Right.
it's one of those balances of, what's the purpose? Let's cut the material, get it done, get it throughout the day, and let's go. And then you just figure out, if it's $1,000 to replace the tube, and we're going to burn it up every 2 years from consumption, you just make that part of your maintenance plan of replacement.
Yep.
It is a consumable, just like lenses
Yeah,
are,
that makes
mirrors.
sense.
But if
But
you get
in
that
gen,
130 watt tube, it's going to probably output close to 150.
right. So from a duration factor, I guess is what you're talking about in the machine's control architecture. If you have a 100-watt tube on a machine and it's actually test out at, let's call it 115, you already have a duration safety factor built into the machine's architecture, correct?
Yeah, we're limiting the output current from the power supply to the manufacturer spec. I've used this little meter. I call it the laser watt meter, to where I ran my 80 watt tube at 100% output power. After the lens and mirrors and everything, I still got over 80 watts measured from that meter, meaning it was outputting everything it's supposed to output. And the tube's probably, year and a half of life on it of use at that point. So it was outputting what it needed to.
Which is quite impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
Because what is it? It's a factor of 3% at the mirrors.
You can lose, they say, up to 4% power.
Yeah. So if you're seeing it if you're seeing it, then after that, then that's damn good.
Interesting. So all factors around your guys' tubes are rated at the test station without the tubes going across the mirrors and the final lens. Is that correct?
Yeah, they do it in a little tube test station.
Yeah.
And then they reject whichever ones don't make it, and they send them back.
And they put them in a different machine. Somebody else's machine.
It's like the old Bridgestone tires, right?
Yeah. They get stamped something differently.
After that, you guys sell them to Boss, I think.
No, not officially, no.
Not officially.
No. They go somewhere. I bet they're not going to the landfill, but they go somewhere. But Alan, you got a question?
If you buy some off Alibaba, then you probably get them.
So yeah, Chris, I do. I'm sorry I joined a little late. One of the things that y'all were talking about was about the time I joined was actually going somewhere to take a look at one of these machines. Is there some mechanism how you find one to go take a look at?
So if you're near one of us, a lot of people on here will volunteer. If you're near Texas, Middle Tennessee, East Tennessee, or Florida, we got some opportunities, and then we have some influencers that can also scatter around. But a lot of people just post up on Facebook, and the global group or the other ones, and people from around that area will either volunteer or not. If they're not interested, they just won't say nothing. But a lot of people meet up that way, and just they're willing to show their machine. They love it. We had a post the other week where people wanted Thunder vinyl logos just to put over their machine because they loved them so much. I guess whenever they take pictures, they wanted that to be in there. So I thought that was kind of cool. But just Facebook and all that's a very good avenue for finding the people.
Okay.
And then you'll be getting.
Alan? Where are you from, Alan?
I'm in Spanish Fort, Alabama, which is the Gulf Coast. Between Mobile and Pensacola in Baldwin County, and so
that's a good trip between.
Summer. I'm sorry.
I said that's a good trip between either Myers or me. It's about probably the same distance almost.
Well, I do get up to Tennessee. I own a camp up there, but I'll be up there a little bit later. But if I could find one a little bit closer, I would. I'd take a look at that. Chris, Chris Myers, I think you and I talked about that, and that's a possibility. So, okay, thanks. I'll
Alan,
ring the bell on Facebook as well.
Yep. Just had a customer picked one up last week down to your area. thereabouts, southern part of Alabama.
Oh,
I want
okay.
Alley.
wait. I have an
So they're out there.
influencer map. Yeah, I have an influencer map. I'm gonna pull it up now and see if there is somebody near you.
Or Alan, if you want to do a trip of a lifetime, I'm a Thunder Demo Center up in Alaska.
In Alaska.
Yep.
Well,
They had to have
you
someone
know,
up here do it.
I've been there a time or two, and it's a long flight.
It's gorgeous in the
Overnight is,
summertime, though.
yeah.
I'm out on snow though.
Mm.
That's why you live in Knoxville.
Yeah, I'm a South Carolina native, so we wouldn't get a lot of snow. We'd get more ice and sleet. So before I moved up here, I asked the people that had been living here for years, how's the snow situation? Oh, it's not bad. Yeah, 2 seasons in a row was like ridiculous. And then we had that deep freeze last Christmas. I'm like, I am never moving to Wisconsin, Minnesota, Alaska, places that the Dakotas that prescribe to, minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Like, I'm out. So,
Alaska's not bad, but you couldn't pay me to live in Minnesota.
yeah.
Let's say we
Although,
rarely get below 0 up here.
oh man, that's great. I'm still out.
Although we have gotten what is it? I think we're up to 80 some inches of snow so far for the year. And
For just
there's
23 or for the season?
for the
Like
season.
Okay.
No, for the 22-23 season.
Okay.
But yeah, about 4 hours south of us in Valdez, they've gotten something stupid like 700 or 800 inches of snow.
Wow. Alan, we have somebody in Destin, Florida.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good trip too.
So,
Yeah, that's
so if you're
about
close to
2 hours.
Pensacola, that's not too bad. But
Pensacola's closer, of course, but yeah, for me, Destin's about 2 hours. Not out of the question at all.
Otherwise it's Tampa or actually you're like right in the middle of all of the demo facilities.
Well, I'll use Chris Meyer's suggestion and maybe put something up on the Facebook pages. There are 2 of them that I watch, so I'll put a note on there.
I wouldn't mind making an official visit down to Destin myself.
Oh, you're coming down this far. We're going surfing.
All right. What about other questions? What's new up in Alaska?
Not much. It's raining today.
Oh, is that a dead printer behind you?
Is that what?
A dead printer, the red box?
So that's my workbench where I repair my 3D printers. Those are all ones that are getting ready to get sold. So we're replacing them with newer generation ones.
Nice. I got my new
one.
You
Want
there.
A couple 3D printers? I see you've got the nice little bamboo sitting back there.
Yep, that's my new one. I'm happy with it.
That's what we're looking at picking up. How do you like that thing?
I love it. It's fast. The quality's phenomenal.
Yeah. That's why I keep hearing. So yeah, we've got a bunch of Crealities laying around, but yeah, I think I'm gonna get one of those bamboo carbons.
Yeah, if they could give me a bigger build volume, I would replace every one of my printers with it.
That's the problem. Is we do a lot of 3D printing for channel letter signs, and so I need as big of a bed as I can get. We've actually been looking at one of those FlashForge 81s that's got the 2 foot by 2 foot bed.
Yep. Yeah, it's tiny, and you lose a lot of the bed space too to other stuff that it does. So it's smaller than my Ender 3's build volume, but it's fast.
I have a question about the gantry. Just curiosity. I'm into machining metal and CNC machines and such, and I got to looking, because of that background, I began to look at the gantry and how that thing appears to be made. And so the gantry, both, I guess, the X gantry and the Y rails both have those round surfaces on, like rods that are embedded in an extrusion that the head rides back and forth. How do
Yes, sir.
how is the dimensions of that maintained in a critical way so that there's not that you get a consistent dimension across the width of the gantry? Because you're tightening those bearings down to take the lash out. And
Yep.
so how is that accomplished, and how are those rods attached to that extrusion?
I think they're just press fit
Okay.
into
Yeah,
the aluminum channel.
yeah, they're press fit. I've had mine out before.
Yep. But from a straightness, I don't know if we've had anybody. We've had people have warped them from collisions. I've only had to replace one Note 51 gantry, but nobody's ever come back and said, put a straight edge on it and said that it was out of, flatness tolerances. If anything, your honeycomb will have more variability than the gantry. The construction of the
Yes,
honeycombs they're
yeah.
supported by the knife bed, so they allow air and stuff to filter below them, so they're not completely flat all the time. There's like a plus minus half a millimeter tolerance on those. Um, because you're not doing planar surfaces, it's probably not as critical, and you're not experiencing side loads, or
Yep.
if you're doing any kind of tapping or drilling in your CNC, you're not experiencing any of that. So it's a lot less demanding from that standpoint. You're just basically moving the head weight, which is about 500 some odd grams, back and forth at a high rate of speed. And I guess high is relative, right? 1,000 millimeters per second is relatively high. It's not absolutely high, though, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you're absolutely correct. There are no side loads, or actually there are no dynamic loads vertically other than
Yeah.
caused by the acceleration of the head moving.
Yep.
So I just wondered about how they maintain that dimension between the upper and lower supports so that you could adjust the bearings just right. And so if there was variability in that dimension between the upper and the lower
hmm
surface, you'd see a little bit of a change in how easily that head moves over the length. And so that hasn't been an issue at all.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay.
The 63 is the
There's a lot.
longest one that we have.
There's a lot more issues with the linear guides and oiling them and maintaining them and cleaning them constantly than these. I mean, just about every single roller coaster and train is using a
Yeah.
similar idea to this, and it's worked for ages, and it's there's hardly any maintenance, which is great.
I don't know if we want to bring up
Especially,
trains nowadays.
that's true. Well, I mean, if you're in Ohio.
Yeah, or anywhere in the country right now.
Hey, Chris, and actually, I guess both Chris's can answer this one. So I'm looking on my 63, now that it's getting quite a bit older, I'm looking at ripping the head off and putting on a live focusing head. Does Thunder USA or Thunder China offer a kit to do that?
Not that I know, but we have seen a video. Who was that did one? Was it Germany again? Somebody had done one.
Germany
Showing a
seems
lot.
to, yeah, Germany does a bunch of weird stuff with theirs.
But that turns it into basically a cutting machine, right?
Yeah.
You got so much weight sitting on that thing with the Z-axis control. Somebody had posted one too where they showed the head. I mean, it was doing an insane amount of adjustments. They purposely tilted the material, but that head was balancing. I'm like, they need to put a filter on there because your material is not that, but it was balancing pretty bad. But no, we don't have one, but we've seen them. You'll have to run the control wiring through that drag chain. So have fun with that.
Yeah.
Mechanics wire.
Yeah.
Yep. No. Yeah, but no, that's something I've been looking at since you know, I mean, I've got 5 lasers, so it's if I take one of them and put a live focus head on it, it's not the end of the world for me.
Yeah, yeah. It just, everything has trade-offs, right? Constraints and stuff like that.
Yep. I'm just thinking, that, you know, with a lot of the sheets of wood that we've been getting lately have a little bit of a waffle to them. And instead of magnetic or using all my magnets all the time to put them down and try to guess where a good spot to put the magnet is, you know, I could just throw it on there and do a live focus head and not even have to worry about it.
Yep. Now, a technique I do when I'm trying to pin my wood down and make sure that it's not in a critical spot, use the absolute coordinates, and then in Lightburn, you've got that little pin drop that you can tell it to drive to certain spots, and that
Oh,
helps me
yeah.
clear my honeycomb pins.
Yeah.
To make sure I'm not going to slice through them.
Yeah,
So,
that would work. Yeah, because I'm loading 5-foot sheet goods on there, so
Yep.
Honeycomb pins don't do much for the warp in the middle.
yeah,
Magnets do.
yeah. I just don't like magnets, man. I got a bunch of them actually, but I play with. They're almost like a fidget toy, but they can
So you
pinch
wouldn't
and shatter.
be doing that with the magnets I use
Oh
on
no,
mine.
no.
No,
My
no, those things explode on contact.
Yeah.
My grandpa had the big like U-shaped ones that were bigger than this thing, and he let us play with them
Oh.
as kids growing up. I'm like, I'm surprised we didn't lose a finger or two because those suckers, whenever they,
Yep.
yeah, but we play with them all the time. So I wouldn't want to smack the gantry into that either.
Oh my lord.
So Alan, if you get on YouTube, Travis has a video comparing our gantry to another manufacturer's gantry, some of the
Yeah,
specs and
to
dimensions.
the Boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an older video, so it is the older generation Thunders, and they've only gotten better since then. But I don't think the gantry system has changed. I think the gantry system's the same. It's just mainly the electronics have gotten better on the Thunder since then. So, and same thing for Boss. Boss, they haven't done, you know, they've done some electrical upgrades, but they haven't done much for gantry changes or head changes. And I still hate I absolutely hate the design of the head on Boss. I thought it was going to be so slick, and that's why I bought it. And it is the biggest pile of dog poo that I've ever seen.
Is that the autofocus head with the spring
Yes.
load?
Yes.
Everybody has it. Anybody that takes that thing apart, man, my bed won't move. Why won't my bed go up?
So do you ever have the switch fail and you drive the head through the table?
Through the
Nope,
table? No.
we didn't.
Through a tumbler?
We didn't.
Yeah.
That's why we never autofocused.
Yeah.
And the problem
Cameron,
is,
So how does that?
the bottom of the nozzles are so big, you can't really fit a normal step gauge under them to do a manual focus either. You have to find something that's the right
Right.
thickness and slide it in from the side.
And that's why we used a different manufacturer's lenses with our Boss. We
Yep.
we switched and we never went back to their stock lens with the autofocus. And so we just used, you know,
a battery.
for these, it was a battery. Now we've 3D printed blocks at the correct thickness. So yeah, don't autofocus.
Cameron,
So, you know,
That's a good idea.
Cameron, you asked about thickness of wood the 80 watt could cut.
Yes.
We're testing right now 18.83 millimeter cherry with the 4-inch head on the 80 watt.
Oh, nice. So how much air are you using?
Our regulators are, and Chris and I have had this conversation, our regulators are set at 50 PSI. And then we have the digital readouts. And we're running it's 13.8 coming through on the actual readout itself. So that, you know, and that's, I don't think that's wide open, but we're just picking a random number and trying it.
So yeah, for
Yeah,
those
and you're
of you
using the
who-
high flow valve.
Yes.
Yeah, and for those of you who either don't have a Thunder yet or are still newer to it, quite a while ago I did a smoke test on Thunders to figure out, what kind of airflow works best for high and low. And what I found is I had a gauge right before the nozzle, or right before the tube went down to the nozzle head, and anything over 40 psi going through the smaller diameter nozzle was actually causing more issues than it was doing good, because it starts creating a Venturi effect and sucking air in and depositing the smoke residue on the top side of the lens, instead of keeping it clean. So about 40 psi is about the max I would ever recommend to anyone that they run, just because anything over that, you're going to get negative effects, and it's going to actually be worse the higher you go after that. So we had tested all the way up to, I think, 60 psi, and yeah, north of 40 on the smoke test, you could sit there and watch the smoke just roll right back into the top little eyelet of the laser head and stuff, and it just wasn't good at all. So yeah, max out at 40. Realistically, just about, I'd say 80% of everything that I cut, I'm only running at about 20 psi, because that diameter on that nozzle is so small that by the time you take your 1/4 inch line and it goes into a bigger chamber and then it's pushing it through a small hole, you're actually increasing your air pressure quite a bit at that small hole. So yeah, I don't see much of a need over 20 psi. If it's really, really thick stuff, I might go to 30, 35, but I wouldn't go any higher than that, really.
So Travis, you're actually measuring the pressure closer to the head than back at the air compressor, right?
Correct. Yeah, we wanted to. So the laser that I was running the test on is an older generation Thunder, so it doesn't have the high-low air assist. It's just constant. And so I wanted to take all the 1/4 inch tubing that I could out of the equation. So I put the gauge right up there near the head. So there's probably one, maybe 2 feet of airline between my pressure gauge and the head. But yeah, so it's, we tried to get it as accurate as we could. That way, if someone actually is doing the digital setup like what Tommy and Lois have, they're running a few more feet of airline tubing after that digital gauge, but it's going to be a pretty nominal effect versus running it through all the solenoids and all that stuff between measuring it.
So Travis, where do you have a YouTube channel?
I do. It's not super active. I have a ton of raw footage, and I really suck at editing it, and I'm a kind of a perfectionist. So eventually I'll get around to releasing all the footage I have shot. But yeah, if you, I think our YouTube channel for laser stuff is Mad Moose Labs, I think is what we have it set up as. So there's only a couple videos up there right now, but over the summer we're going to be, yeah, I'm going to be.
I thought there was the gantry comparison. I thought that was YouTube, but it must be somewhere else, huh?
Yeah. Here, let me pull up the gantry comparison, because it's actually it's not just the gantry that I'm doing. I'm doing a full-on review between Thunder and Boss. And so it goes into every little aspect of it. Like I said, it is a little bit outdated because both of them have upgraded their electronics since then. But it goes over the electronics, the gantries, just the way the machines are built, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, is that published?
Yes, that one is published. I'll grab it here really quick.
Okay.
So what is the expected millimeters per second that you would expect to see out of the hybrid drives on the latest generation of Thunder?
So your x-axis will go 1,000, y-axis 300. Now, when you start talking about vector motion, you still have physics involved, right? Acceleration,
right?
The size of your objects. If you're doing a lot of intricate things, it's not going to get up to full speed, even if you set it to 300. Think about how you would drive on a mountain road versus the interstate. Going 100 miles an hour on the interstate is a breeze, right? On a mountain road, yeah, good luck. You go off the side. So because you have to speed up and slow down and turn around, like corners on a square, it literally stops for a very small fraction of a second to make a left-hand turn to do the next,
Right.
corner or next turn. Otherwise, you'd have roundover. That's just physics of it.
Yeah, you have accel and decel on
hmm
the motions.
Yep. Which cutting
I
speeds,
guess I
if
do
you're
well.
doing cutting, you're going to be in, sub 50 millimeters per second for cutting speeds anyway.
Right. So I do have one question on spare parts, and there's enough people on here that have been exposed. I'm sure they could tee up while Travis is pulling up his video there. How is the accessibility as far as spare parts come? I talked to Rhonda about that a little bit, and as you get into cutting things, and I assume Tommy and Lois and Travis have their business is centered around this, and that's the way ours is too. Um, how's accessibility for Thunder for getting components if you have something go bad, like laser tube, linear rail, I don't know, motion belts, servo drives, things like that.
So if they don't want to comment, most of the stuff that we have, you can source third party, like tubes. If we don't have them for sale, there's a third party vendor out of California. CloudRay Laser carries a lot of the parts. There's only a couple proprietary electrical parts, being our TL timer board and our door check board. Other than that, a lot of that stuff is easily purchased through online third parties. We are also setting up our, I'll call it our marketplace to sell parts and components as well. That's coming
Mm-hmm.
here soon. And then proprietary stuff, like if you needed gantry components, whatever, we would coordinate getting that for you from the manufacturer direct, out from China for those parts. Not common to have to replace those. Um, all the wear items you can really you can purchase from your vendor of choice or us.
Okay,
We
that's
sell
nice to
lenses,
know.
mirrors, and stuff like that. If you go on our knowledge base, we've got articles about spare parts. We have articles about where to source components of the chiller, where to source components for your laser tube and power supply. Um, all that stuff. Motors. We'll link you over to CloudRay and say, hey, here you go. Here's the one we use. Um, if we don't have it in stock and you want to buy from third party, that's fine too.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yep.
And the link to the video I just put in the chat, I don't know what happened to my copy of it, but luckily Brian over at Thunder was smart enough to download it and upload it to his channel, so I ripped it off of his channel really quick.
And then I'll
Thanks,
get on my
Travis. I
soapbox
see
about
it there. I'll snag it. Thank you.
spare parts. If your business is critical, then spare parts are critical for you. Even if you're under warranty, it's still beneficial to have spare parts. Like I just bought this printer here, and when I bought it, I snagged a bunch of stuff because there's no guarantee it's in stock, and I'd rather be running than down. So look at the consumables in our article, stuff like that. Have your spare parts handy so that when the Christmas rush hits, you're still good to go.
Yeah, I
That's it.
think that's. I guess that's why I asked those kind of questions, because I was
Yep.
like, okay, how readily available are these things?
Yep. Well, so the economy, or whatever you want to call it, the supply chain in the last year and a half has just been up and down like a roller coaster. And then this Christmas was tough. This season was rough, man, between people freezing tubes, having to get those replaced, and the running the machines probably close to 24/7, and just draining some of the stock and stuff. It was crazy. I don't think I've seen it that bad, but yeah, having spare parts on hand is always a good idea.
Yeah, and what I can tell you is, from my experience, if something goes wrong with your laser, Thunder's going to bend over backwards to try to get you back up and going. So we were in the height of Christmas season. This was probably 2 years ago, and I lost the power supply on my 3580, and got a hold of tech support. Brian flat out told me, he's like, look, it's going to take me, at least 2 weeks to get this to you. And so what he actually allowed me to do is I found the same exact power supply somewhere else that could have it to me overnight, and Thunder reimbursed me for the full cost of that power supply. So I mean, that was just absolutely amazing. I've never seen another manufacturer that's willing to let you buy the part from someone else and then they reimburse you for it. So I don't know if they still kind of do that. I'm sure it's on a case by case thing, but it was just, it was absolutely amazing to see that happen.
How's
Alrighty.
the inventory of lasers